Gather up all of the crew. It's time to listen to another episode of Project Geekology, episode 156, that is. And with that start, you might be wondering what that is. Well, this week we are covering season 2 of the live action of One Piece. I am 1/4 of your host, Anthony, and joining me as always is
Dakota. And I love that classic anime One Piece intro you did there. I see what you did there, buddy. Nakama.
Yeah, you know I had to hit that Bink Sake.
Actually, speaking of the intro to One Piece, there was a brief musical motif at the very start of this season where they actually go into the first intro music for One Piece right before they go into the live action One Piece theme. That da 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 da. It was a really cool little tease, but yeah, so it's good you started with that. But we are not alone, Anthony. We are not alone anymore in the universe. We are joined by little green men. One of them, say hello, first little green man.
Hey guys, it's me, Rich. I'm green this week, and we're also joined by.
Hey, I'm Jen. How am I a green man?
Yeah, I was. Don't take that seriously. I was literally. You and I were just watching an episode of X-Files called Little Green Men.
Oh, that's. Wait,
Yeah.
I'm the only person that reference was for, and even I was confused. I was playing through One Piece. I'm like, there weren't any little green men. There was that guy in that green hat ensemble.
Podcaster extraordinaire.
Sure
didn't even miss a beat. I just kept it going. So
No, he was good. He was golden.
When you were saying that, I was thinking of
experience.
dirty bearded men.
Yeah.
this is getting crazy, guys. I want to cool down and maybe slow everything down with a nice unofficial beer of the podcast, Voodoo Ranger. Great every time.
Is that the juicy kind, or that doesn't look like the juicy IPA?
Dude, nobody's. Why'd you do that? Okay,
Because you covered the label
I know.
and we could see it's a different color, and you didn't hold it up to your screen like you always do.
all right. This week
He
I
tried to
do
be
a little
slick.
different.
Purposely
It's
hit
the
that
tropic.
juicy
It's the
label
Tropic
from us.
Force, but it's still super juicy. So
Poser.
Okay. I mean, there is juice.
Now
in,
we're
juice
gonna
in
have to ask
tropics.
them to leave us a tropical review and not a juicy review.
There is juice in the tropics.
Thank you.
Let's not go too far, guys. What have we been up to this past week? Let's start with Jen. What have you been up to?
Oh man. I mean, as you just said, we finished season 1 of the X-Files. There was no reason why that character needed to be called Deep Throat. I'm just gonna get that out of the way right here, right now. I still don't understand. Rich and I spoke about it today. Dakota and I have spoken about it. I think that was uncalled for, and I said my piece.
Anthony, I don't know if you've ever watched X-Files.
Yeah, I have started it, but I haven't watched it all the way through though.
Okay, and Rich knows who the character is, I'm assuming, just because you spoke about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's a character who's kind of like a whistleblower in the UFO and or extraterrestrial hidden department of the military and or U.S. government, and we don't really know what his deal is, but he wants one of the characters, Mulder, to find out more, and he his nickname is Deep Throat. That's what he wants to be called. And I guess it's supposed to be kind of like a joke based on the guy who was the whistleblower on Watergate was nicknamed by the press as Deep Throat. So
Well, Rich and I looked that up today, and it was still inappropriate. Even back then, it was not okay to call people Deep Throat. I just think it's a weird choice. All around the history of it, the whole thing.
fair enough.
Oddballs.
Anyway,
in
did you
government.
like the first season of X-Files?
I really liked the first season of X-Files. I was riveted. I really enjoyed it. I loved the little non-relationship between our two main characters. I love how awful the intro is.
It is a truly awful
Truly-
early 90s intro.
The song is fantastic, but the actual footage.
And you know what?
Gritty.
It wasn't impossible at that time to make a good intro because Twin Peaks knocked it out of the park a couple years earlier than that. So it's totally on them for making a really lackluster Photoshop intro. But yeah, I was really pleased with that. That was the first time I had really sat down to watch X-Files, and having finished season 1, I'm very pleased that it was week in, week out of just bangers. It was hitting out of the park every single time. And yeah. Little fun fact for you friendly fellows. Something that you guys should never forget is that the term shipping, like in fandom circles. Like I ship them, or I ship that relationship, which, you know, means like I want these two characters who are not in a relationship to be in a relationship, actually comes from the online fandoms of the X-Files back in the mid-90s. So that's pretty sneaky, sis. So yeah, very cool. Have we done anything else this past week?
I've watched a lot of videos about how to take care of babies because we are having one and we don't know how to take care of a baby.
I watched Homeward Bound and cried.
He's ready for children.
That's good
guys.
enough, man. You got it.
That's it.
They're like made rubber.
I'm gonna send it over to Anthony. What have you been up to, bud?
So last month they dropped Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and so I ended up getting Fire Red. So I've been playing through that. It's been fun, you know, like going back playing almost like the OG Pokemon, but just with the quality, like really nice, like quality of life updates. Like back in the day, that old Pokemon was hard, man. And this one's a little bit
really
easier.
Hard. Yeah. So, question. Fire Red, the original Fire Red, was a remake of Red and Blue version. Correct?
Right.
And now this is a remaster of the remake.
I think it's more of a port. I don't even think
so it's not even a remaster.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's more of like just a port. Yeah. It's interesting playing a Game Boy Advance game on a Switch, because like the Game Boy Advance, like the screen was already like big for the game, but it worked. But like now you're using a screen that's just like way bigger than that, so it's like stretched. But I mean, it's still been fun though. I thought it was interesting that like back then they decided they did Fire Red and Leaf Green, but they didn't do like, you know, they didn't do anything for Blue, right? Because like remember back in the day there was a green version, but it was only Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided to like do a green version for us over here, but like, you know, the updated version. I guess like you could call that the remaster of or remake of well, no, I think it was more, it was like a kind of like, because the game still plays the same, but it looks a lot better than like back in the day. The sprites look better, and you know, the color, it's very vibrant. So back then, like if you played Red and Blue on like a Game Boy Color, you just got like a red or a blue tint.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah,
Rich,
no, that's been fun.
What is on your TV, Rich? I see flashes of color coming from your screen. What is behind the computer right now?
Can I guess? I'm going to guess MLB The Show.
I'm not going to speak on this. I don't understand why I'm being questioned in this manner. This is...
It's an
because
interrogation.
You've been caught. You have been caught, Rich.
Well, I guess that does lead into what I've been doing for the last week. Ladies and gentlemen, because finally, the moment I've been waiting for months and months and months. Really only about 2 months, but, you know, I mean, once the season's over and the roster changes, all you need is 2 free agent signings to throw everything off. And finally, MLB The Show 26 came out. I'm not going to lie to you. They changed the menus. I'm very kind of annoyed. I don't think they changed them for the better. The user interface, I guess, looks nicer, but it's the equivalent of, you know, when you go to like TGI Fridays and they have like 9,000 pictures of the food. I find that to be like visually overwhelming, and I actually don't, it freezes me, right? It's like, I'm used to like a list of words, you know, like, hey, this is what I have to offer you. And instead this is like, oh, and it's so many options. I get overwhelmed. The user interface is very bright. It's very like window based, like popping out, and it's supposed to be nicer, but it wasn't great over the weekend.
You mean to tell me it's not just start, new game, continue, and settings?
My friend, there are so many tasks. This is a task-based game, right? It's not just about the sport. It's small tasks. You know, get 5 hits with guys who played on Team Mexico last Tuesday. You know, so they already have World Baseball Classic stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, it's just fun. And I got really lucky. I got very lucky, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony will remember. I know he does. He's like, Rich, you kept trying to get Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani at the end of the last cycle for MLB 25, you know? What's going to happen this year? You know what's going to happen this year, Anthony? I packed Aaron Judge, baby. First week. That card is worth 400 coins. I didn't even know what to do. I literally called my friend. I was like, I need to consult with you on this. So should I sell him and get the Mets that I want, or do I hold on to him? And there was like a whole back and forth. It was a big debate in my family, but we settled on keeping Aaron Judge right now. I did not sell him, so I'll leave it at that. I'm just,
very nice, very nice.
Did I remember that?
Exciting.
Did you tell me that?
Anthony,
I don't even remember.
Oh, I knew you. I know.
No.
It's back. I think I was back like episode 132. I noted your enthusiasm when I shared the information.
Oh, that's cool. Isn't there another game coming out?
Okay. So Desert Crimson is coming out. Crimson Desert is coming out.
Yeah.
Friday, I believe. No, tomorrow. By the time you guys listen to this, it'll have already come out. I'm scared. Like there's a website, a YouTube channel I just watched called like Dad Beard Gaming or something, and it's essentially like, is this game bad for dads? And like the idea is that like, if dads have limited playing time, is this a game that we can actually play when you only have, let's say, an hour, and then you have to be on call and you can't just be like tied into the game. So it's what scares me, the size is daunting. I'm actually getting like palpitations a little bit talking about they're saying that it could take you 6 hours. Like if you went on foot, if you did not get a steed or a bear, there's apparently bears. That's awesome. You can ride bears. Dragons, there's like a shadow form, but there's got to be a progression system for that, and then there's going to be eventually fast travel, but they said it could take 6 hours to cross the map. 6 hours of seamless just sitting. Oh. It's like Red Dead Redemption, but with like, I don't know. I don't know. Anthony, are you excited about this, man?
It looks good. I'm really interested in seeing what the execution of it's going to be, because a lot of it looks really, really good, but nowadays you don't know if they're going to execute on the promises that they make for these games, so we'll see. I feel like nowadays it's hard to trust games journalism, so I really like to see what people on like YouTube say. Like I'll try to get my consensus from maybe somebody that's popular all the way down to like people who may not be as well known, and just kind of get like the consensus, like, oh, okay, so this person's saying this, and even like somebody that may not be paid to say good things about this, they're saying good things about this, then this is probably good,
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not rushing out to get it. Seems like no matter what, it's going to be a massive game, and honestly, with kind of work obligations, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but I'll be attending some Met games this season. So with all that, I think I'm going to hold off and kind of make this my birthday's right about the time that school ends. So I think I'm just going to get it for my birthday and wait till school ends, and then drop my son off at camp.
And then that's your summer sorted. So you're saying it's massive.
Yeah. I mean, they're talking about Red Dead. They're saying that it's dwarfing Skyrim and Red Dead by a lot.
You know what else is massive? One Piece.
Oh, okay.
One Piece is massive. Sorry, I'm just getting more and more ambitious with these segues. But anyway, yes, let's jump into our discussion of One Piece live action season 2. And it's kind of hard to talk about One Piece without talking about
Two Piece?
The Two Piece, yeah, my favorite of the pieces. No, it's kind of hard not to talk about One Piece without discussing the massive size of the story. It's one of the longest running continuous stories in history in any medium. I think right now it's like at chapter 1176 in the manga and something like that. And I think the anime is a little bit, just a couple episodes behind, I'm assuming. But anyway, it's such a huge thing, and it's not actually a completed story. But what's awesome is that, and it's kind of unfortunate, but like the manga and the anime slowed down a little bit for the production of the live action, because the creator of the series, Eiichiro Oda, wanted it to feel true to his story. So he was heavily involved, not only like with the scripts, but like everything regarding the series. And I believe anyone who's watched the series or read the series in anime or manga form will tell you straight up that they tried their best to be as true to the story, to the visuals, to the world building as possible in this series. Anthony, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like for something like this to be pulled together, it would have to be done with people who genuinely enjoy the source material.
And it seems like not only do they enjoy it, but they want to deeply convey what the stories are telling, and like the point and the overall message of all the stories in One Piece as chapters go by. And I think that that's one of the more important things I want to take away from all of it is, you know, when I watch certain adaptations like The Witcher, I remember being really, really let down. Not necessarily because of the casting or the art direction or anything like that. I was most let down by the inability for them to adequately get the stories from book to screen. And not only that, like they would do the stories, but it would be like they would lose the meaning of the stories, the moral point of the story being like in existence in the first place. And that doesn't happen at all in One Piece live action. They're so good about getting the heart of the characters and the world correct. And I really deeply love that. But let's let people who don't have a huge One Piece background talk a little bit. Let's start with Jen. First thoughts on One Piece live action season 2.
I really enjoyed it. I also liked the first season a lot. I felt like with this season, it took me like a little bit longer to really feel very excited about where it was going. But like once we kind of like caught our rhythm and started moving, I got excited about that. I really like Tony Chopper. Big fan.
Huge fan of Tony.
Speaking of, what did she say before? Speaking of enormous. Speaking of massive, Tony Chopper takes a massive place in my heart.
Rich, this was your first time. I don't know if it's your first time ever watching anything One Piece, but I know it's your first time watching the live action. You watched both season 1 and season 2 in preparation for this episode. What first, I mean, if you can remember, or you can kind of remember the split in the seasons if possible, mm-hmm. How did you feel when you first started watching the show versus how it ended with season 2?
Very different. I didn't like the first season too much. So I've never watched I've never watched the anime. I've never read the manga at all.
Sure.
I started watching it, and it just was. You guys later explained that this came before Naruto, right? But from my viewing,
from your point of view,
from my point
this
of view.
Is very similar to.
Yeah, there was. There was there was just the way. Naruto's I'm gonna be the Hokage right away, and this guy's I'm gonna be the Pirate King. The fact that it was even like the configuration of 3, the fact that he's very much got the same kind of like indomitable spirit, but it's also kind of stupidity that just ends up at the end, like, oh man, that guy just doesn't give up, but a lot of it's just like him making horrible decisions, but his positivity carries him through, and his friends are just like, yeah, like you're so positive, yes. I'm going to help you. So that I felt like season 1 I was noticing those tropes more, and I'm gonna look. It's Chomper, my man. Like, if you remove Chomper, if I don't see Chomper, if they skip Chomper and it goes like past him or something, I don't like the show. Like, I don't even like. He sold it. Like, it's unfair. He's the Grogu. There's no way I could dislike Chomper. Like
Wait, are you calling him Chomper?
Chopper.
Chomper. Tony Chopper.
Riley? Is it Riley? It's Riley, right? So
yes,
Chomper.
Right.
I'm gonna start calling you Smitch.
It's Chopper, like the art, like the Star Wars character.
Yeah, Tiny Chomper. Yeah. Tiny Chomper. So I really.
We don't even see him eat that much. He did eat a devil fruit.
He really sold it for me. I still have a little bit of my stuff. The devil fruit reminds me a lot of the way that I would understand a level of Jitsu in Naruto. And I'd be like, okay, so that's like, this is the level, right? And then they'd be like, nah, man. Like, that's just that guy's level. Like, and then they would just introduce somebody with, so when I saw the devil fruit introduced, it's like, I just got like Vietnam flashbacks to watching Naruto episodes, and I've said it, and I know Anthony knows that I've rewatched things, and I've heard you. You know, if I just stopped watching Lord of the Rings 10 times, I could watch this. But it's like I read Jack Kerouac's The Road, and I read the version that's the way he wrote. You know, it's basically there's no paragraphs. You know, it's just straight text on every single page. There's no physical breaks. There's no chapters. And I found that to be very difficult. It was very overwhelming because it just felt like there was no end. And the anime of One Piece seems something like I could never embark on, but I actually kind of liked this.
He said it, Anthony.
You know, kind
of liked it.
You know, a lot of people do freak out over the size of One Piece, but when you watch...
Are we filming an Austin Powers dedication podcast? Like, look, Johnson, like, oh man, he's being really frank right now.
Well, I mean,
hey, Willie.
Was it? But like, you know, in all seriousness, when you're watching the episodes, like some of the episodes are like so short, dude. There'll be, you know, the intro, like you'll cut, like, you know, you skip the intro, and then sometimes there's the intro and then there's a recap. And then when you skip that, sometimes you're skipping like 5 minutes. And then you skip like another like minute and a half, 2 minutes at the end with the outro. So like at the end of the day, sometimes it'll cut down like a 22 minute episode down to like 15, 16 minutes. And so that's how I'll watch like a bunch of episodes at once. But I'm willing to admit the earlier seasons, the earlier arcs of One Piece are a bit rough to get through.
Is this earliest?
They are, but there is like greatness within them. There's a lot of like things that pay off down the line also from these initial seasons or the initial arcs. So I appreciate them for that. But you know, I remember watching through the next season that we're gonna get, and it's probably to me it's gonna be probably better in live action. But watching Alabasta and the anime was rough. It just felt so long. The pacing was just kind of, to me, not the greatest. The same thing with the next like kind of major arc, which is Skypiea, where they fight Eminem in the sky, and
Marshall Mathers.
So there's an enemy in Skypiea named Eneru. Or Enel, and everybody says he looks like Eminem, and he kind of does because
okay.
he has like a do-rag on. He has, you know, he's like a white guy, and he dude, like if you look at him, he looks like Eminem kind of. But you know, I do understand it, and the live action definitely cuts out a good bit of the fluff. Like, believe it or not, in just 16 episodes, we've covered 91 episodes of the anime.
That's the kind of...
there is a lot of fluff in the original One Piece seasons. And I will... like the anime. And what I will say is that the early seasons of One Piece are very cheaply produced because it was a time in the early 2000s where they didn't spend a lot of money for animation, you know, per episode. So a lot of the actual art is very stagnant. You know, it'll be like a shot of someone's face and it's just their mouth talking for a good portion of it. Or it's just like a still frame and then they just zoom out of the still frame. So it's they use certain aspects of cheapening the animation so that they can spread it out a little longer. But anyway, we're not talking about the anime in this one. So I do want to loop back to you, Rich. You said that Chopper was the one that kind of sold it for you. But prior to meeting Chopper, how were you feeling about the individual characters outside of Luffy? Because I know you were kind of like you were getting some PTSD about like Naruto with Luffy himself. But what about the ensemble cast?
So I like Kashi, Demon Swordman. This is
Roanoa Zoro.
Yeah, that's Demon Swordman. Right? Isn't he like the demon hunter, demon pirate hunter? Isn't that his like moniker?
He's a pirate hunter.
All right.
Yeah, you're kind of like throwing the word demon in there.
I thought there was something about demon.
Maybe I think one of his blades is cursed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you're thinking.
I know he gets that later, but all right. I thought I hung on to that for some reason, but anyway, I liked him. I mean, what I didn't like about the introduction of the characters for me is like I just really don't like too much, like, I don't like heavy flashback, for every person. So that kind of annoyed me. Like, I just don't, it's just like, tell me. There was one point where Sanji, I really appreciated it. They were in the restaurant, and this is, I think, in season 2, and Nami's sick, right? And Sanji starts talking to her about, like, his mom, I think it is, right? And he's, like, relaying the story. And he just tells the story. And we don't have to see the visual. And I don't have to go back and see little Sanji and his mom. I'm okay with a character just doing a little exposition drop, a little bit. Yeah. And I don't need to see the full flashback.
Worked. It worked really well in that particular...
It was more powerful almost. You get to imagine it. It's like... Yeah. It's kind of... I feel like what it does is, like, in comics, one of my favorite things when I teach about it is the gutter, right? Because that space allows all of us to see something slightly differently, but we all kind of see the same thing if the comic book writer and the artist are doing a good enough job. And I think that that's the same thing with exposition. Like, I don't need to see it all the time. So that said, I was waiting for Nami to, like, not be, she was kind of being shady the entire time, a little bit, kind of being very clear that she wasn't someone to be trusted, but, so I like, man, by the way, that clown guy, whoo, hate him. He's very good at his job. Like, he's excellent.
Bunny.
Boogie?
I love him.
Boonie?
Buggy the clown.
No, yeah. It's Boonie or something? Boogie?
Let me tell you, man. Like, Buggy in the anime disappears for a while, but then he comes back, and it gets interesting with him. So does Mr. 3.
They changed up Loketown quite a bit.
It's been so long since I've been there. You know how long ago, dude? I'm closing in on 600 episodes. That was like,
damn, Anthony,
500, like over 500 episodes long ago for me.
Oh, actually, really quick, sidebar. We can keep this in the podcast, whatever. But you reminded me of something, Jen. In our last episode, we covered Major League, and the one thing I wanted to say that I didn't get to say is that the coach has the greatest voice of all time. It's the most unbelievable raspiness, and I almost fooled myself into thinking that like random soundbite where it's like, "Damn, son, where did you find this?" comes from Major League. I thought that was going to show up later in that, and it just didn't happen. But, like, that's the way he talks. I'm like, how is that possible? Anyway, let's go back.
Like, my favorite, like, nice catch, Hayes. Don't ever do it again. Like, it might be my favorite line, like when he does because Willie Mays does the basket catch, like, first game. He's like, ooh! And, like, they're all complimenting his fanciness, and he's just, like, pissed off about it. He's so good. He's so good, that guy. And sorry.
How many cigars do you have to smoke to sound like that?
Maybe
2 at the same time.
Maybe like as much as Captain Smoker.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on, Smoker.
I like him a lot.
He was cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
His devil fruit power was like really. Like,
I wish that was my power.
Versatile. I was confused about how they were going to like visualize that on screen, but like that's like one of the best visualized powers on screen, like in live action. I was so surprised.
That's how it looks like in the anime. Yeah. So we actually this season, I'm actually glad that you talked about that. We get we get a visual for like each of the devil fruit types. There's the Zoan type, which is like somebody turning into an animal. There is the Logia type, which is what Smoker is, and then Paramecia, which is what Luffy is.
Wait, what's the difference between the Smoker kind and the Luffy kind?
So, Logia is somebody that they're able to kind of manipulate an element. So for him, it's like smoke. Later on, they can kind of, like their body kind of becomes that element too. Later on, like Ace, we'll be introduced to him next season. He's the same, like he's all like kind of fire. And then Paramecia kind of does like changes to the body. So Wapol.
So like Luffy being rubbery.
So like Wapol, like where he was able to like change his body when he would eat, he
like
could change his body.
Booney, right?
Bunny, yes, yeah.
What about the
Bunny.
girl where she can like shove her hands everywhere? What is she?
Uh,
Is that? I guess that would be body.
Robin.
Yeah, that's Paramecia. So yeah, that's
Miss All
that's
Sunday.
Robin. And this season she's called Miss All Sunday.
Yeah, so we actually got a couple future Straw Hats, like 3, I think, as far as I can tell, Straw Hats that like show up earlier than. Oh, I mean, Robin shows up here, but we saw Brooke in that scene with Laboon. He was the one doing the. So Brooke is a character that comes back later on in the series, and like his whole goal is to reunite with Laboon,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whale.
So
So Laboon won't be alone forever.
Oh, that's good. To
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah.
That because that actually like broke my heart.
Yeah, that storyline when so you get that storyline later on in the anime.
Laboon is the whale.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the guy who was playing the song to him.
Crocus. Oh no, I'm thinking of the guy that was taking care of him and shooting him with
No.
drugs.
Yeah, not the guy who was drugging him up. The guy who was singing the song
Yeah.
is a character named Brooke, and he shows up later and actually becomes part of their crew.
I like the
yeah,
old
he
guy.
becomes a straw hat,
I'm a fan of the
but
old
he
guy.
doesn't look like that.
Not anymore. Who else do we have, Anthony?
Miss All Sunday, man. Robin.
Yeah, Robin.
Yeah, Robin.
I want to be her when I grow up.
Robin becomes a straw hat eventually. It'll
Wait, why are you
most
telling us
likely be
everything?
like towards the end, if
You're
not the
you're
end.
absolutely gonna forget like who these
But
characters
what about
are.
our listeners? There are dozens of them
There are-
that are going to get spoiled.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I think most people will have looked up these characters after watching the show. I think they will be interested.
This
And there's
story
so
is
much
like
more
over
to the
20
story.
years old, so we're getting
We're
close to
talking-
30 years on this.
Yeah, and there was another, I forget the character's name, that showed up early in Loketown in this season that wasn't there.
Bard? Bowman?
Oh, are you talking about Bartolomeo?
Yes, Bartolomeo.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Bard the
he doesn't really become a straw hat. He becomes this is way down the line. Honestly, like I know this because obviously, like, I mean, out of all these years you get spoiled out of some stuff, but he becomes so in the canon he actually was there, but like you don't see him during
I
that
see.
time. But
that's cool.
so in the canon he witnesses all of that stuff, with Luffy's like kind of failed execution during that time. And so like he becomes like a super fan of Luffy, and he actually becomes him and his crew are like one of the pirate crews that are under the Straw Hat Grand Fleet.
I understand. Okay.
So
that's,
like
that's pretty cool.
he is a Straw Hat like I guess like by extension, but like as far as like the core team, he doesn't actually like join the crew. I mean, in the first season there was a name drop of a future one, Jinbei. He actually joins it.
All right, let's stop talking about the future and start talking about the present.
The present?
Yeah. Rich, who was your least favorite character outside of Luffy? I don't even know if Luffy's your least favorite, but like outside of Luffy, like which of the Straw Hats was your least favorite?
Why does it have to be a straw hat? Why can't it be like
Oh, it
anybody?
could be
I'm
anyone.
trying- so-
it could
Because
be.
I like all the straw hats.
So, like, and the thing is, like, Luffy grows on me in the second season a little bit more. I know it's such a small thing to complain about, but Luffy has a Spanish accent, and the little boy, his little version, like his younger version, doesn't, and that kind of annoys me. But
Oh, interesting.
I don't care that an actor has an accent, but then like cast the little kid with an accent. I don't understand what it took me out of it a little bit. That annoyed me about Luffy. Aesop's Fables, Captain Aesop,
Usopp?
he annoyed me for a bit, but then he kind of did some he did some valiant things that I ended up liking. I didn't like Sanji at first. I didn't like the aesthetic. I didn't like the suit. I thought he was kind of whiny. But I think the exposition about his mom kind of won me over a little bit there. Nami, I didn't like the character. Maybe I'll grow to like the character more now. But I was waiting for the betrayal part, whatever, and that I really didn't like. That annoyed me. Booney is just very good at being an obnoxious character, so it's hard. I don't like that character, but that's because I'm not supposed to like that character at all.
I would say in this season, Alvida was my least favorite. That's the character who was like fat in the first season and then got skinny in this one after eating the devil fruit and just became like
Ozempic fruit?
Slippery. Yeah. Basically, she took the Ozempic fruit and she just became like slippery, like frictionless. So like any punches.
Yeah, I didn't like that. But Chomper. And now I wonder if I would like Chomper as much.
You're killing me with this Chomper.
Tiny
I was
Chomper.
okay with Booney.
I don't. Well, no, the Booney thing I'm saying because doesn't Luffy
because
actually...
it's a joke,
yeah.
He keeps forgetting the character's name.
Chopper, I'm legitimately making a mistake. I won't lie. Wait, I'll remember it now. Get to the chopper. All right, I got it. It's locked in for now.
There we go.
So the thing about Chopper is I don't know if I'd care in manga form or in anime form. It's this representation, this creation that they put on our screens. So adorbs, man. Like, so like, it's like a drug. Like, I felt it was unfair. Once he popped on screen, I was like, well, game set match, Anthony. You got it. Like, Chomper got me.
Even like his texture is so soft.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just want to hold him. And then you find out that he's a grower, not a shower, and he's useful to the party as well. He can fight.
Huh?
What is happening on this show?
There's a lot of innuendos going on. I don't think they're all intentional. I think that probably was, though.
That was extremely... I've been silently waiting for my moment to say that.
What I will say, Rich, you mentioned you don't know if you would feel the same way about the character if you had experienced it in manga or anime first. I can tell you that as someone who has read the manga version of this, I haven't seen the anime version of this, it was extremely beautifully written. And the entire arc of like what they did here was so well adapted, like getting Dr. Hiruluk to be given the mushroom, and that whole arc is just so tragic. And you feel so bad for him. But you're so happy for him when, Luffy and friends take notice, basically. It's so well done in the end. And I think it's, from what I hear, it's well done in every iteration of this particular story.
Yeah. No, I would say so as somebody that's seen it in the anime form. This Chopper is one of the most, like, beloved characters, or, like, one of the most beloved Straw Hats. Like, I would say almost everybody loves Chopper, and they're like, everybody's like, they'll die for Chopper. And this was, so I'll be honest with you, there's been times in this anime that I have like legitimately like teared up, and that was one of those times. Was Chopper's backstory, and just like kind of being an outcast, not only as a reindeer, but even amongst humans, and not like having friends. And then, Luffy, that's the charm of Luffy, is that Luffy doesn't care about, like, just like the way that you are. Like, he's just like, oh, he's just like, oh, this thing is kind of weird and crazy, but I love it. And that's absolutely like how Luffy is. Like, Luffy doesn't care if everybody else thinks you look weird. He thinks you look cool. Like, he sees the value in the person, and he's like, and like, he's kind of like, his goal down, was like finding a cook, which he got in Sanji, and then finding a doctor, which he gets in Chopper, and then a navigator in Nami, and then Zoro's like kind of like a de facto first mate. So
he's the tank.
So yeah, it's this part of the anime, it's just, I mean, like I said, there's like gold in these earlier seasons. There's highs and lows, and like this was definitely one of the highs that got me. Yeah, I love Chopper, is one of my favorites.
Anthony, do you feel like I feel like it almost got a little bit witchery in that Chomper over here is very much it's like a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? Like,
he has a blue nose, actually.
Yeah. It's like, very close. It reminded me, I think this is why I like this. Like, if we had watched season 1 and then you guys were like, hey, let's watch season 2, I would have watched it just because whatever, but I wouldn't have been excited about it. And I wasn't excited about season 2. But this Chopper story really, to me, reminds me of some of the Witcher stories that are close to like fables or fairy tales, right? With a little bit of a weird twist. Like, this is what it's really like. And I think that's what actually made me fall in love with the character. It was like, oh, you guys doing a little bit of fairy tale switching, and I love that, man.
Is there more of that moving forward, or no?
Yeah?
Like in the, you don't. How do you know?
No, I was asking, like, Anthony, is there, like, I'm excited. I want to know.
Like, you're answering me. I was like, wait, you have seen it just as much as I have.
You mean, like, is there more
like fairy tale adaptations?
It's not necessarily fairy tale, but it's mythology that is adapted into this world, and you get a little bit of that for pretty much every mythology, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
we got a little bit of that with like the giants.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little bit of that with even like the world leaders. That's that flashback scene with the world leaders. You have obvious like stereotypes, like there's the Abraham Lincoln looking dude.
Oh yeah.
Those are like real characters in the
yeah.
in future seasons and stuff. And that it all kind of takes bits and pieces of real world legends and mythology and kind of wraps it around this ongoing story, which I think is pretty neat.
Yeah. The setting for Alabasta kind of reminds me a little bit of Agrabah.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Aladdin.
Yeah, it's a desert kingdom. So, and it's not like specifically that it's like Middle Eastern. It takes like different elements, kind of like from that region, kind of like what Agrabah does, right? Like Agrabah isn't like one, you can't like tag one specific culture to it. It's like a blend.
Does it like there are a lot of street rats in Alabasta?
Yes.
Nice.
I can only imagine the amount of street rats that exist over there.
All right, let's not be too hasty. We shouldn't move too far forward into Alabasta.
But Jen, I'm almost 600 episodes in.
We've got to get one jump ahead of Anthony and watch 601 episodes.
One jump ahead of the bread line.
Oh, man.
Sorry,
So,
I'll stop now.
What was I going to say? Speaking of Chopper, I think there's a couple things I want to say. Like the actor who played Dr. Hiruluk.
Wait, can you like clarify? Because one thing I didn't do well with it was like remembering all the names. Is that the hot old chick?
That's Kureha.
Oh yeah, okay. Because I loved
Kureha.
her.
Hiruluk was the crazy doctor that like nobody respected or anything that raised Chopper.
That lied to him.
Yeah. What's funny is that the actor who portrayed him was literally named Hiruluk. So Mark Hiruluk played Hiruluk, and I thought that was pretty funny. And they kept saying the word Mark throughout all of his scenes. So I thought it was a little funny little.
Do you know the actress who played the other doctor? I can't remember her name.
Correct.
You say it. She's the voice of Lila from Futurama, and for me, she is Al Bundy's wife from Married with Children. She would, in like the 90s, was wearing this like giant wig and pretending to be trailer trash. It was kind of crazy. I mean, she's legitimately like 75 years old. So it was just kind of wild to see her pop up in this because this is the absolute last thing I expected to see her in. Like she
nails that role though. Like she's really she absolutely like nails that role.
It was almost Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, it was almost Jamie Lee Curtis because Jamie Lee Curtis is a massive fan of One Piece.
Oh.
But
cool.
she just couldn't swing it.
She was gunning for that role of Korea. She wanted to play it, but like in a recent interview, basically she said that it just didn't work out because they were filming in South Africa.
Yeah, South Africa.
And she just couldn't find time in her schedule to do it. So, but I'm happy with the actress that they chose, just because did a fantastic job. Killed it.
Lord, if I can rock a crop top at that age, I will feel so blessed.
Yeah,
I mean, I will.
Jamie Lee Curtis said that was the actress's real stomach.
Yeah, I caught that interview also.
And if she had done it, she would be wearing a prosthetic. So it was a good thing that they chose this actress. What else?
Like, she was just so good at playing like standoffish and rude, but secretly caring.
But that's like,
and like behind the scenes caring.
just to be clear, like,
And that's that character.
that's her.
Correa, yeah.
But no, but that's also like the act. Like, I mean, at least in Married with Children and in Futurama, that's her. Like, she's this standoffish but deep down caring character. You know, like I think that's kind of, that's been a role she's played very well throughout the years.
An actress that I didn't expect to play a certain role was, oh goodness, I can't remember her name. Hold on, give me 1 second. It was Michaela Hoover, which is a funny name in and of itself, just because Hoove, like Hoov, Chopper has hooves. But he goes, oh.
I thought this whole episode you got me on my toes.
Michaela Hoover is funny, or is a weird choice. It's a great choice, actually, but I thought it was such a strange choice because it's such a strange role for her to be playing in terms of like her filmography. Like James Gunn uses her a lot as... He has Michaela Hoover in pretty much all of his films as like just the busty girl, that just shows up in 1 or 2 scenes, and like that's her shtick.
Wait,
she bounces a little bit.
Who is she? And
Yeah, wait, who is this?
Michaela Hoover.
She's like the isn't she gold? She's one of the gold people in
no, she wasn't.
Guardians.
If you look up Michaela, she was Cat Grant in the new Superman movie. She was.
From two girls in a diner or something, right?
What?
No,
you're thinking of Kat Dennings.
Oh, never mind.
Cat Grant, the character
Well, she
in.
fits the description.
Michaela. Michaela's the
influencer,
voice
right?
of Chopper, I think.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Michaela Hoover is the voice of Chopper,
Why do I
but
feel like we're having 50
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
conversations?
Sorry. Anyway, I just found her casting to be weird, but
You
perfect.
said busty girl bouncing and the chat fell apart.
That's what
We
happens
all
when you have
went
3
in different
guys.
directions.
Everyone just went straight to their phone.
Literally,
Sorry.
No,
all
I'm
their
like-
heads like started looking down.
I'm sorry. Okay,
Well, I'm
let's-
trying to
let's
like pull up the casting to remember. You know, for Dakota and I, who have, Dakota's read through this part and I've watched through this part. The casting that they, something that's like obviously important is the casting of Robin. I mean, she's a future Straw Hat, so like you have to nail that casting, and I was absolutely blown away. I was blown away by the casting. Like, I mean, she is.
What are you asking, Rich? I'm sorry.
Who is Robin?
Robin. If you move your head, Anthony, it's the character right in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the character who has the ability to like create limbs wherever there's a surface.
Miss All Sunday, yeah, like she's like one of the top bad people
Miss
of this
Sunday?
season.
Okay.
It is a very, very OP. Okay, you're hitting me with random hands, Jen. I don't understand, like, why are you guys, like, holding your nose as you, like, slap the air? What is that part?
This is like the new thing.
That's the new thing?
If you don't know, you don't know.
Okay,
You
all
have
right.
to like work with high schoolers to know the cool
I
kid
see.
stuff.
All right. In general, I really like the casting of pretty much all the Baroque Works
Oh yeah,
characters. Like, they killed it.
yeah.
Like, I
Miss
couldn't
Golden
believe-
Week, Mr. 3. Oh my gosh! Like, I was like, they picked the best weird person to
nail that
role. Yeah, because he always plays weird characters, and like Mr. 3 is a weird character. Mr. 3 being the candle guy.
Yeah, actually,
Yes,
that guy I oddly remember because of the wax, and it was such a weird power.
And like
his hair.
they did the whole scene. Like, I was wondering how they were gonna do it with like the whole wax like cake and everything, and they were able to do it.
You know what amazed me?
Also,
I kept
the
being
wax
amazed.
was his choice, but anyway, it ties into this episode. So just moving along.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a choice, but it was an interesting choice in the sense that, like, I could not believe episode by episode that they were adapting the story so closely to the actual canon in the manga and the anime. I was so impressed that they would do stupid stuff because, let's be honest, it's a really stupid power. You know, there's a bunch of really stupid powers in One Piece that most people would say that can't be translated to live action.
Like
And I
Mr.
think-
Five,
Which one's Mr. Five? I forget.
booger bombs.
Oh, yeah.
That's another one. Yeah.
It's like
Or who was it? I think it was Mr. 13 is
it's like the otter.
the otter. Yeah, I did not
Mr.
expect
13
the
and Miss
otter-
Friday, like the vulture.
Herb.
I did not expect them to do that scene. There's so many little things that I was just like, they can skip that. There's no reason for them to even try to adapt this in live action.
That scene was
They
pretty
did it
comical
every
between Mr. 13 and Sanji.
And Sanji, yeah. Jen throughout the entire season, Jen's like, why doesn't he ever use his hands? Why does he always have to kick? I was dying laughing when she
Seeing
said
just
that.
like how inconvenient that fighting style is. when he
There's
has
a
hands
reason
right
for it.
there.
There's literally a reason for it.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Is it that like his hands are like his tools for cooking? so
Right.
he's
Essentially,
thirsty
it's
and gonna get
like
hurt?
he only uses his hands for cooking, and he doesn't want to like injure his hands. Essentially,
I would
so that's
assume-
why like
So-
all he does is kick.
I think Sanji would be
When
like,
I was,
I use it for cooking and love.
Probably. When I was a kid, my brother and I used to wrestle. And for some, like, we were always, like, play fighting and stuff like that. And for some reason, I always had the very strong desire to, like, kick him in the face. But I was a lot smaller than him. I could kick quite high. But every single time I tried, he would grab my leg and just pull me, and I would land on my back. And watching him fight with his legs was like inspirational, but also like tragically stupid at the same time. Just because like I just have vivid memories of my brother being like, why do you keep trying to kick me? It's never gonna, you can't do that in a real fight. They're just gonna do this to you, idiot.
Wait till he gets to the part to where he spins on his leg like really fast, and it becomes hot.
Oh.
It happened.
And then he fries
it
an
gets
egg.
like that, like where he starts spinning
With his
it.
hands, his hands are available to just start doing some
He
cooking.
becomes a literal hot stepper. Like,
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, I actually do like that they did like they got like, because in the anime he'll do that thing where he's like on his hands like and he'll spin like to kick, and like they actually did that in this show.
So another thing that I found kind of interesting, like before this season came out, before I watched the trailers or anything, I was thinking to myself, all right, they're probably going to skip this island and this island so that they can get straight to the chopper bit. You know, like
Straight to the chopper.
I think that they definitely want to go straight to chopper, and that's I was thinking Lopetown, and then they go over the line and they get to the it's not Whiskey Peak, Drum Kingdom.
Well,
get to the
they
Drum
have to go
Kingdom.
up to like it'd be like, you know, obviously they would show Reverse Mountain.
Right, okay, you know what I'm saying, but like that they would have to go into the Grand Line and then they would do the whole chopper arc. But I was amazed that they didn't do that. They went chapter by chapter and they actually showed every single little mini arc within the Baroque Works up to the choppers stuff. And I could not believe my eyes when Brogy and Dory, the giants that are battling every day for 100 years, showed up, and I was just like, I was just in awe.
And they got the
I
like
don't-
laughs like down packed too. I was like, oh
it
my
was so
gosh.
stupid.
Yeah, yeah, like One Piece is there's a lot of like really funny laughs in it, and
Yeah.
yeah, like I was like, oh wow, they nailed those characters. They did really good. It was Little Garden, but
Little
you know what's
Garden,
actually
yeah.
crazy about that? You know, the giants they're from a place called Elbaf, and
Which is like the last arc, right?
literally the arc that they're in right now is Elbaf. They finally, in the current like storyline of One Piece, they finally made it to Elbaf.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
Think about like how long ago that was. I think this was like this
years
was
ago.
like probably I think was it maybe episode 50, 60, like around there in
Yeah,
the
that's a bit
anime,
around
and like that, like over 1,000 episodes later, they're finally in Elbaf.
I applaud that. I think it's cool. I have no idea how long the live action goes. I hope it continues to be popular to the point where they don't have to wait 2 years between seasons anymore.
Oh.
They can just
Dude,
do it year after year. That would be ideal. but
dude, and this
I-
wasn't even 2 years, dude. We were like knocking on the doorstep of 3 years.
which really stinks just because time is everything when it comes to this stuff. So I
Right.
expect them to do like maybe 2 more seasons, probably, of the live action.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, which kind of sucks because that's like that would be Alabasta and then maybe another 2 after that, maybe covering up to like Skypiea. But which kind of sucks because I feel like the anime like really like the story really grabbed me, and like I would say like a lot of people this is where like you realize like, oh, this is why people love this anime, is when you
After
get
the
to
time
Water
jump.
7. Water 7,
Yeah.
Eni's Lobby. After that, this is around where you're getting to, like the art looks a lot better. Like it's like digital, it's HD now. And the story is just, it's a lot better. I feel like the story really like picks up. Don't get me wrong. Like I love the story like before because there's things that set up for like later on, but I just
It does get better, yeah.
and the Lyra Abova, that's the actress that does Robin. Her audition tape was the "I Want to Live" scene from Eni's Lobby, and that's like a really like huge moment in the anime. So I'm like, man, I would love to be able to see that like adapted live.
Oh, here's a question for Rich. You mentioned earlier on that you mentioned a couple times that you were waiting for Nami to turn on them, and she does. At the end of the first season, she has that moment where she's in it for the money. She's planning to buy her town. She gives the money to Arlong, and Arlong basically just steals it and says nope. And that's when she has that great moment where like she's pleading with Luffy for help, and Luffy just says, "Of course I will." Why did it make me raise
Just
my
because
hand?
I accidentally...
Yes, Jen. Did you need to add something? You raised your hand.
Freaking Zoom.
Actually, I love that you brought that up because that shot right after she asked Luffy for help, they have that shot in the manga and the anime, and it's just like it where like Luffy's like walking away and like Zoro's like sitting, like literally like the way that everybody is like standing or
Positioned,
sitting.
yeah.
It's like a 1-to-1 like shot from like both the manga and the anime, and I love that they had added that to that.
But so Luffy helps her out. Now, did you think in season 2 that she was still like at odds with the rest of the team, or were you on board with her being on the team at that point?
I was on board. I just got a little annoyed that like then to be fair, I watched this in a smash, so like I'm trying to
Yeah.
But
You're trying to separate it, yeah.
she gets sick like fairly quickly, no? Isn't it?
Not really. Isn't it like halfway through the second season, or am I wrong?
Yeah, we don't actually know what she got sick from. It was something.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, it was on.
Did they-
It's from a prehistoric tick
Yeah.
that,
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
she
yeah.
gets, and it's the same way in the anime, and yeah, because Korea like it mentions like
Oh yeah,
like
you were
the
you must,
sickness,
unless you were walking in a prehistoric jungle.
right, and she's like, oh yeah, I was.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why she had gotten sick.
I wish there was a little bit more space because I feel like you just kind of betrayed the team, and then Luffy's very accepting, but I just wanted there to be a little bit more friction before she was trusted, and it's just I think like
Yeah, maybe by like some of the
Luffy,
other...
the thing is that Luffy had already established that trust, but the thing is that she did what she did not out of it
wasn't
wasn't
agreed.
selfishness
Yeah.
that she did that, and Luffy recognizes that.
This is the
he,
same-
he recognizes that. Like what
What?
do you
It
shaking
sounds
your
like
head?
this sounds like an Uchiha excuse, all right, like to explain away bad behavior. Well, no, I was doing it for the good of the village. I don't.
But the thing is that like she was like she had like she had like a timeline that she had to like go through, like that's the thing, like honestly, to tell you the truth, like if somebody did something like that to me And I would be pissed, but if they like explain, like, look, she obviously had a lot that she was going through. Like, she was pissed, and then she was betrayed. She was obviously betrayed herself, and she obviously needed help. And Luffy was there. He was always going to help. He was always willing to help. That's his whole. Honestly, Luffy's thing. He doesn't care about being king of the pirates because he wants power. He wants a family and he wants the freedom. That's the whole thing. That's really what all it is. The king of the pirate, and that's like, to him, he feels like that's like the ultimate source of all of that. So like, really, like, I mean, the live action condenses a lot, obviously, because it there's things that, I mean, it's not gonna cover every little like episode that happens or every scene in the manga that happens. That's where, some of that, you read through all of that stuff. Obviously, you get to know these characters a little bit more, whether it's filler or not. But these characters are spending more time together, so that's, they get to, this is where they're establishing their relationship. This is where they're getting close. Yeah, she betrayed them, but it was not out of selfishness. I would understand if it was out of selfishness. But it was not out of selfishness. It was out of trying to save her village, and that's literally like what Luffy's all about, is that he wants to protect people. He sees people being oppressed. He's gonna help them out.
Man, I'm so happy to hear you say that, Anthony, because when we go down to Florida, I'm planning on betraying you for the sake of my family. So it's good to know I'm gonna have forgiveness.
Well, I wanted to. Rich, I wanted to interject because I've thought about a couple more parallels. You mentioned like the reindeer, like Rudolph the reindeer parallel with Chopper. And you inadvertently mentioned Aesop's fables. The character Usopp is famous in his town for making up lies, telling stories. And his primary story is an adaptation of Aesop's fables, specifically The Boy Who Cried Wolf or The Boy Who Cried Pirates. Like, that's the story of his origin. So you get a whole bunch of that where you, like, the whole show is, I don't know about the whole show, but like there's a lot of the show that takes bits and pieces of ideas from legends and history and characters in our past and interjects it into One Piece. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's notorious for his BS stories.
Why do you hate Usopp, Jen?
I don't hate Usopp. I actually really like that Usopp and Sanji dislike each other, though. Oh no, it's not Sanji. It's no, I'm thinking of Zoro and Sanji.
Yes.
Oh,
Zoro. I like that they dislike each other. I think it's really cute.
It's literally like that in the anime.
It's a constant rivalry.
Yeah. They have
like
that
it can't be
rivalry.
like everybody's best friends and like everybody's just like Luffy, where they all see the best in each other and get along perfectly. Like if you have coworkers, two people aren't gonna like each other.
Yeah, Sanji calls him Mosshead in the show. That he calls him that in the anime. I was like, oh, like I love like the little like details like that they throw in.
I can't imagine strongly disliking people that I work with. That's just
It's absurd.
seems odd to me.
But on the opposite hand, you have, as soon as Chopper comes on board, you have Zoro immediately pick him up and put him on his shoulders. Which is such a cute scene and is a common visual in the anime. Just Chopper's always everywhere, on the ship. But I love that because it's the gruffest character on the ship taking the cutest character on the ship and just like carrying him like a child.
Pretty cute.
There's a theory that I read earlier about Chopper that hasn't been explored in the manga or the anime, but we've seen a picture of Chopper's devil fruit that he ate. We don't have a name for it or anything like that, but it's in the shape of a mushroom. Like it looks kind of like the mushroom that he gave to Hiruluk. And the theory is, and I think the reason people are bringing it up now, I think they're going to talk about it like in the manga, like coming up. The theory that is currently being proposed is that the cure-all that the people were looking for was the devil fruit that he ended up consuming. And he confused that for the mushroom that he ended up picking for Dr. Hiruluk.
But why? What would it do for them It made him.
Nobody. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think like if like you could see how that could get like inflated, this devil fruit that's super powerful, and then eventually through maybe like generations, like it becomes this cure-all. My thing with the devil fruit is this: if I lived in this world, my sole purpose in life would just be getting a devil fruit, and I wouldn't waste my time I wouldn't even bother with the One Piece until I had a devil fruit. It's like in board games, you know, when you figure out like, okay, if I just get this one rule, if I just get this one item or like this one thing, if I buy Park Ave, I'm set. You know, and I think that's the devil fruit.
That's fair.
I'm really bad at Monopoly. I don't know if Park Ave is actually good or not. It's just like an idea.
That's why you always lose.
I don't think I've ever won a game of Monopoly in my life.
So the thing about the devil fruits are that they're extremely rare, and a lot of the times people don't know what they do. So
that's, I guess, like, yeah, you could
so
take
like
one
you
and,
could have
like,
one and like just get the worst power, like, you know, Mr. Five with the booger bombs.
So you can't tell like by the color or shape or anything. Like you have to eat it. And it does, like, could two people take a bite of the same devil fruit and have different powers? Like, does it like interact with your?
I mean, where I'm at, I don't think that there's been anybody that's like shared a fruit. Not that I know
You have to
of.
eat the whole thing. I think you take a bite.
But I mean, there are some fruits that I feel like that could be some type of like tip off of like what it does. But Luffy's fruit, which was the gum fruit, it's literally like a purple, just bulbous fruit. So like you wouldn't.
So I just sent you guys a picture in the group chat of Chopper's.
Oh
fruit,
yeah, that one I've seen.
It looks like
there is one that looks kind of like metallic. That is the devil fruit of somebody called Eustace Kid, and he has like this like magnetic power. He's essentially the Magneto of One Piece.
Greatest thing that happened this morning was my coworker said to me, "Hey, maybe you know this one. X-Men villain can control magnetism," and I was like, "Mutant name?
Captain Kidd from One Piece,
or real name?" Like I was like, "Well, come on, this is."
Wait, who was trying to quiz you? It
was Greg. He was doing the crossword, and I was like, "This is my time to shine, baby."
Wait, he didn't know who Magneto
Greg
was?
doesn't know like things. Like
no,
that.
no. Well, actually, I said to him,
Spider-Man 3.
I said, I think that Greg's favorite Marvel movie is Guardians of the Galaxy, and he quipped quickly right back, "I liked it better, and it was Indians of the Galaxy." Because the baseball team?
It's a baseball team.
Yeah, it's a baseball team.
Right.
And I lost Anthony. Sorry, man. It's 30 seconds of baseball.
No.
You mentioned baseball.
I think Anthony's thinking about like possible One Piece.
Three-piece?
He's thinking about
guys.
three-piece
Listen.
now.
When Three-Piece comes out, everybody here has to wear a three-piece suit. So Anthony, I'm getting you ready, buddy. All right, we're gonna suit up for Three-piece.
Three-piece.
Three-piece. Hopefully, it doesn't take like almost another 3 years to be done.
A three night. Yeah.
I mean, I think that they are. I think they are working on season 3 already.
I hope so.
So
yeah, I hope.
Yeah, they need.
But anyway,
we need a new season next year.
I mean, honestly, if they don't start to do this faster, I think that it's just gonna dry up. Like the fandom's gonna dry up, and it's just not gonna be juicy. I think that's gonna be a problem here. So. Anthony, do you want to speak on the juiciness, the ripeness of this show?
You say ripeness, right? When you say ripe, I think of a fruit.
Like a massive fruit, right?
Maybe, a fruit that, you bite into, and it might give you powers, or it might just be juicy enough to make you want to review this podcast.
That might be the worst power in the world.
It's going to be called the star fruit, and it's going to urge you to rate us 5 stars.
If I eat an apple and it's like really juicy, and I'm thinking, man, I got to go back to that podcast and review it. That seems like the best thing to do. That's exactly what you should be doing, folks.
Exactly.
You should be going. You may not be currently listening to us, but we are in your heads. We are in your walls. You are thinking. The next time you hear or taste something juicy, you are going to want to go back to your podcast application or network and give us a juicy 5-star review. I think it's something that you will be pleased in doing, and we will be pleased as well.
And right after you do that, go grab yourself a 5-pack of the unofficial gum of our podcast, Juicy Fruit.
Oh my
Official,
gosh.
unofficial. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
while Rich is trying to find ways to get us sued. But yeah, you hear that knock on your wall? That's us, but not really.
Guys, what are we? Let's give our final thoughts on One Piece Season 2, the live action. I'm going to start from Jen.
Why do you start with me?
All right, you know what? We're going to end with you. Rich, what are your thoughts on One Piece live action Season 2?
I think that Season 2 did a good job in condensing a lot of what I think I didn't like about Season 1. I think that the change in the exposition style was great. I thought that the references to mythology were fun, and it started to form its own identity that's separate in my mind from a lot of the anime that I've seen outside of this. But it's not the type of thing that I would have willingly put on my own, but after watching it, I would say it was pretty good.
Nice. And you can see why people are into One Piece.
I could see why, yeah.
Yeah. I too really enjoyed Season 2. I don't know if I enjoyed it more than Season 1, because Season 1 got me into One Piece in the first place. So that was kind of what was interesting about Season 1, is that I had no idea what was going to happen, versus Season 2, I knew everything that was going to happen, but I was more impressed with Season 2 because they were able to make everything happen. So that was just the fact that it was such a juicy adaptation from the serum that Crocus shot into Laboon, juicy. The dinosaur that they cooked, juicy. The devil fruit that Walpole ate, juicy. The soldiers that he ingested and then spat out, covered in juice, juicy. It was such a juicy show, guys, and I really, top 5 MCU series for me. Anthony, go ahead.
I mean, you know me. I absolutely enjoyed it. I'm a massive One Piece fan. When it comes to the big anime, especially from that era, I would say One Piece is my favorite from that era. And just continuing on, I just absolutely loved the casting. I think they killed it. I loved the nods to future characters like Brook, Bartolomeo. They also showed Sabo, which is another foster brother to Luffy that you get to know in the future. Was it Luffy's father, Monkey D. Dragon? You don't get to know too much of him until later on. I just I loved.
Oh, that's one thing that for people who haven't read or watched One Piece, they are currently under the impression that Goldie Roger is his father.
Yeah, I was really confused just now.
Yeah, spoilers. But
well, I mean, is it? But
what are you gonna tell me next? What are you gonna tell me? You're gonna tell me that Darth Vader, is Luke's father?
And then what's it? Yeah, for real,
the
right?
Frick, man.
See, Rich gets me. But and then they mentioned the whole Will of D thing that isn't really.
Yeah, that's really early.
Yeah,
mentioned that too.
So I mean, I absolutely loved. And I think that all that is in preparation because they know that they're not going to be able to get that far. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, they're just teasing us for stuff we can never have, because this is only apparently 13% of the whole story.
Yeah,
that they've adapted at this point. But Jen, final thoughts.
One thing that I really loved that I didn't get to mention earlier was the set designs. I thought the sets were really cool.
Yes.
Very lived in and really intricate, which I loved. That's something I love about Harry Potter, for example, certain shows and movies and stuff where they have fantastic set designs. I get really excited about stuff like that. Specifically, Crocus's home, I really liked.
The lighthouse, yeah.
Yeah, the lighthouse. I thought that was super cool. Another small detail that I noticed but forgot to mention earlier was Crocus are the flower that bloom first in the spring. So they're known for being the first sign of renewal. And basically as soon as they got, what is that?
They went over to the Grand Line.
Yeah, once they got into the Grand Line, they encounter this character named Crocus, and it represents kind of like this
New
life.
beginning.
It's a new
Yeah.
beginning for them, which I thought was really cool.
That's true.
One of my least favorite things about the second season was the King Wapple.
Wapol, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I kind of thought he would be harder to beat. I don't know. I just thought like he got kind of easy to beat there in the
He's
end.
just a mean chump.
Yeah, like all the metal in the world, he couldn't save that hippo.
The fight's a little bit more extended in the anime, but I mean they cut stuff down to like condense it. In the first season, there's the whole thing with Don Krieg, that the guy Mihawk fights Don Krieg.
They cut that out.
They cut that out. Whereas like in the anime and the manga, it's the Straw Hats who fight them.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting. I think had Don Krieg appeared in the second season, like story-wise in the manga, they would have put him in correctly. So I think it's kind of a slightly different direction, because they changed things up in the first season, but with the second season, they're very like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and I love that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to us here for our 156th episode of Project Geekology. We are in a unique position where I just realized we have no idea what we're covering next week. So, Jen, do you wanna give us a recommendation?
Okay, wait, I'll go with my original recommendation. I hope you guys don't get annoyed with me because it's actually 2 movies. It's the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix and the movie Lost in Translation with Scarlett Johansson.
And there's a reason why these 2 disparate movies are worth watching side by side. I haven't done it. I think you have done it, Jen. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see how these 2 movies connect, even though they are completely different productions.
So you want me to watch it on 2 different TVs at the same time?
Yes.
That's
Optimal.
ideal. Yeah.
Optimal viewing.
That is ideal. So
I want you to have one headphone in each ear.
We cool with that for next week, guys? Her and Lost in Translation?
Oh, the double feature? Yeah, I think we could do
Her.
Is that okay?
That'll be interesting. We've never done that before.
Ben Hur and the show Lost. Let's go, guys.
We actually
Sponsored by
that,
Voodoo
Anthony.
Ranger and Juicy Fruit.
We did that for
We're not
like
sponsored.
some of the Disney movies, where we would compare the live action to the original animated back when we.
Oh yeah,
When you guys were
that's
sponsored by
true.
Disney.
But we've never done.
We're not sponsored by Disney.
I feel like doing this is almost like listening to the Dark Side of the Moon matched up with the Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah, actually that would be kind of a cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all right. So next week we're covering Her and Lost in Translation, folks, for episode 157. Thanks so much for listening to us here. If you want to check out any of our socials, be sure to click down into the show notes below. And come back now, you hear?
Gum
Bye.
Gatling.